Good morning. I'm Lynn Cooke, 76 years old, born in 1947. I've lived here all my life except for when I went to college and the military, and I've been married for 53 years. I grew up on South Hughes Street near the corner of Hughes and Herbert, which is right up the hill from the intersection of Hughes Street and 55, and so the hill is important, although it's not a big hill, but we had about 8 or 10 kids that were approximately the same age that grew up close proximity to each other, and the guys formed Hilltop Volunteer Fire Department. There were a couple of guys that were 3 or 4 years older that were kind of the ringleaders, and we were good kids, but we built some fire trucks out of, we call them go-karts, non-motorized of course, but just out of like a 2x12, piece of 2x12 lumber that you sat on, a couple of 2x4s for the axles, and the front axle turned, the back axle was stationary. We robbed the wheels off somebody's old lawnmowers, and we found out if you filled a 5-gallon bucket full of water and put a bicycle pump in there, it would pump water like a garden hose. People back then burned their trash in typically 55-gallon drums, and we couldn't wait till people started burning their trash. We would go put them out, much to the dismay of our parents and our neighbors. And I can remember my mother running us off with a broom in her hand. The ringleader of our group mentioned that to me. He's in his 80s, and he mentioned that to me about 2 years ago. I had forgotten it, but anyway. Another thing we did was we would take several wagons, walk uptown to near the corner of Salem and Chatham. There was Stephen Balcom Appliance Store, and back then they shipped refrigerators from the factory to the appliance stores in large cardboard boxes that covered the whole thing, and they were willing to get rid of them. So we would pull 3 or 4 of them home on our wagons and cut windows and doors out of them and join them kind of like trailer parks, lengthwise or at right angles or whatnot. And we had schools and we had clubs, and I think the guys even slept in there on rare occasions, but we had a good time. And one of the neighbors had a playhouse that their dad had built, but it was fairly large for a playhouse for his 2 daughters, and we held school in there, and we had plays and skits and something, and the parents came in, and just real close-knit community. And they are some of my favorite memories growing up. I remember when I was about 8 or 10 years old, one Sunday afternoon, my dad was a volunteer fireman, and they got the call that the Apex Theater was on fire, which was near the intersection of the railroad track and Chatham Street, kind of the other end of the building where Anna's is now. And it was pretty well engulfed. I'm sure they called in help from Cary and some of the surrounding towns. It took quite a while. I went up there, walked up there, I'm sure. It took quite a while to bring it under control, and there was fear, or somebody thought there was gunpowder stored in one of the storage rooms or either an adjacent building. Well, or in the attic or something. That turned out not to be the case, so there was not an explosion, but that did away with the theater for years and years and years until the one in Beaver Creek. But I remember that vividly. It was a Sunday afternoon, and we'd had my aunt and uncle over for Sunday lunch, and my dad and my uncle were both firemen. They had to leave, of course. So that's one of the things. Another thing, I'm a lifelong member of Apex Baptist Church, and in order to make way for the new sanctuary that stands there today, the old sanctuary built in, I think, 22, was completely torn down. And that was kind of a bittersweet moment. We knew that it was, why we were tearing it down, but it was still kind of emotional. And in conjunction with that, another memory was after the new sanctuary was almost completed, they put the large steeple on top of the church with a massive crane steeple pretty tall, and it was kind of like the finishing touch, but that grew quite a crowd in town on the sidewalk in people's yards, whatnot. I guess they blocked off street, I don't know. But anyway, that's it, vividly imprinted in my memory. When I was in high school and graduated in '65, I think the population was 3,000. Now we're 72 plus, which changes the character a little bit, but I think it still has that small town feel, and just knowing people that you know, that you grew up with, their parents, leaders, or people in your church, or teachers, your principals. I think those people help shape the people that we are, and you run into still some of those people, or newer friends, but people that you've known a long time, maybe not lifelong residents, but people have been here a while, and through your church or social organizations. And you mention things that happened years ago, and you can laugh about them or cry about them or whatever. It's just special. Well, I hope that we can retain the small town feel. Obviously, the numbers are different, and the traffic is definitely different. We've got a lot more commercial advantages here that we didn't. We don't have to go to Cary and Raleigh for groceries and clothes and stuff like that. So we definitely made some positive strides. I hope that we can retain the small town feel, and that we can retain our Christian roots and ideals that have helped shape the town so far. And I hope that we're fortunate we have a low crime rate. I hope we can keep that, and that Apex can be the place that young people want to raise their kids, and that everybody has an equal chance to thrive.